All right. And so you should be into Schoology. And if you'll go to the week of November 16th, and then Rhombus's Rectangles and Squares Desmos activity, if you'll go ahead and click that, here is a class code. You might need that to get logged in. But if you'll click this link, it's going to ask you to sign in with Google. So if you go ahead and do that, or I'll put my name in here and kind of go along with this with you. If it doesn't ask you for that class code, that's awesome. And so then it's going to kind of go through a series of slides. And the first thing that I want you to do is look at these 3 images. We have a rectangle, a rhombus, and a square. And I want you to just take a few moments and select what do you observe about, or what observations do you have with looking at these. It can be super basic. You can kind of go in depth and look at those images a little bit closer. So just take a moment or two and kind of type in what you're thinking as you look at those 3 shapes. And once you're done, you can press that thing that says share with class. I'm gonna just put in something real basic. They all have 4 sides. All right. And so now let's move on. And now we have a Venn diagram. And in this Venn diagram, so if you'll go to slide number 2, All right, so then if you'll go over to slide 2 now, and I want you to kind of explain what is going on in this diagram. What's it telling us? So it says that it says parallelograms on the top, but what is the rest of us telling us? And as you answer that, again, press share with class. What do you think? I like that one. A square is a mix between a rhombus and a rectangle. Good. Good. All right. So then if you'll move on to slide number 3, we're going to be doing a little bit of work now. And so on slide 3, it kind of tells us to do a couple of things. So we said a rhombus is, or a square is kind of the intersection of a rhombus and a rectangle. It has the properties of a rhombus and it has the properties of a rectangle. And so what we're going to do is we're going to kind of look at each of those shapes and kind of determine what those properties actually are. And so this we have, it is a square. It's telling us it's a square. And we're going to first construct the diagonals. And we kind of did a little bit of work with those diagonals. I kind of gave you a lot of that information, but now I'm going to have us kind of really look at what that stuff means. So if you'll press down here where it says construct, and then go to a segment. We want to put in a segment right there. And we want to construct AC. So you click A and then click C, and it will construct that diagonal. Then do the same thing for D to B. Now we're going to place a point at the intersection of AC and DB. So if you'll go down to here where it says construct and then press point, and then you click right in the middle. Now it doesn't want us to label that. So if you click the arrow on there, the selector tool, and then click that point, we can click label and mark it as M. That's what it tells us to label it as M. Now to go to this next part, if you press down on this arrow and then press back up, then it goes back to this original tool selection. And we want to use the angle tool to mark the measures of the measurements of 4 different angles on here. And so we click angle, and then we click them in kind of this order. So for the first one, angle CDA, so do angle CDA, and then it tells us that's 90 degrees. You do the next one, angle, and then you can just keep going, DCM. It gives us that is 45 degrees. Angle BCM, and you should get that one is 45 degrees as well. And then finally, angle CMB. And we see that this angle where the diagonals meet is 90 degrees. Now, after looking at that, I want you to tell everything that you know about the square's diagonals, the angles, and then the segment links. If you want to know more about the segment links, thought we could. If you click on the sides and you click label them, it will label them with the link. So if you want to do that as well, then you can find the links of all of those. So for this one, I'll kind of help do this along with you. We can say something about how maybe we want to do the length of these lines as well. So I can see that the diagonals are congruent. They have the same length. The diagonals are congruent. We have the diagonals are perpendicular because they cross at a 90-degree angle. Let's see, the angle measures of the rectangle, of the square, sorry, are all 90 degrees. Because this one's 90 degrees, so then this one's going to be 90 degrees, this one's 90 degrees, and then this one's 90 degrees. All segments are congruent and have the same length. And so that's what I'm kind of looking for. Something for you to kind of explain what is going on with what's happening in here. Press share with class when you're done. And so then what's going to happen is you're going to actually do this same thing. I'm going to kind of give you the rest of the time to work on this. You're going to do that same thing for the rhombus and the rectangle. Then when you're done, you'll kind of explain how you can tell the difference between these shapes. And then there's a few questions. Now, this one, you might say, okay, this looks like a square, but you want to be able to show that. You want to be able to show that. So you have to do the same things, and you have to be able to tell that they are all the same. Maybe you need to label the sides and things like that to determine which one that it actually is. You can't just go based on looks. You need to go based on the properties. And then the last couple are a couple other kind of clarifying things along with there. What questions do you have at this point? Pop over to the chat, make sure no one has any questions there. Okay. So again, go ahead and complete this. So I kind of did squares for you. He still has, so I did the square one for you. So I'm going to do rectangle and rhombus. And then kind of finish up with those. All right, so seeing there's no questions, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna, I'll leave it on my square one, just so you can kind of see everything that I did for that. But you're welcome to kind of keep going on with this, and let me know if you have any questions.